Do you want to save more and spend less to get ahead financially? In today's video, I'm sharing 13 frugal tips to help you win with money. Get ready to boost your savings and take control of your financial future. Let's dive in. Number one is set up a budget. You're making a financial plan for exactly how you're going to spend your money. So this is the way that you take control and decide what you're going to spend your money on instead of just let it happen to you and then looking back and wondering what happened. I thought I had plenty of money and why did I run out? It's just a 101 of helping you get ahead financially. And number two goes hand in hand. I would almost say you could do number two first, and that is track your spending. So we use YNAB, which is this, you need a budget, and have been using that for years. We've taken brief breaks where we've looked at other things. We used Monarch Money for a while. We used Quicken back in the day. We've used a lot of different financial planning, tracking tools, but YNAB is the one that we keep coming back to. And have been using really over the last 10 to 12 years. We've been using it for a long time. We track every penny. I know that feels like drudgery, but it is just an essential thing. I would almost say if you haven't been budgeting, you could almost start with tracking your spending first. And then create your budget from that, knowing about what you spend on groceries. Like if you have no idea what you're spending on groceries, it's hard to come up with a number. But once you start tracking your spending, it's either like, oh my goodness, I have been spending that much, or I feel good about that amount for groceries, say. So yeah, track your spending, every penny, and use that with your budget. As an added benefit for tracking your spending, I'll mention that just this last month we caught fraud on one of our cards. There were 3 charges to Walmart.com. Charlie and I compared notes. He was reconciling and tracking all of our charges, and neither one of us had spent money at Walmart.com. And so that did a couple of things. Usually what happens with this is the credit card company will catch it when there's fraud on a card. This time it didn't. And so calling and reporting and stopping the card stopped future charges, and it also kept us from having to pay those Walmart.com charges. Number 3 is if you use a credit card, don't carry a balance. If you're tempted to carry a balance, then cut your card up. Pay it off and just use a debit card would be my counsel. It's really hard to get ahead financially when you are paying interest and in debt with a credit card. You want interest working the other way around. So with a credit card, you are paying them interest every month that compounds over time. We want to be in the wealth building business, right? We want to be in a situation where we're paying into a savings vehicle and we're earning interest that compounds over time. And that's the way that you really kind of get ahead financially, is by compounding interest over time that you're earning, not that you're paying. Ditch the credit cards if you're tempted to carry a balance. Number 4 is pay your future self first and make it a non-negotiable. So decide what percentage or how much the dollar amount that you want to save each, whatever the pay period is, every 2 weeks, every month, whatever your pay period is, decide ahead of time what you want to do and save that first. Set up an automatic transfer so that the funds that you don't have to do that yourself, it's automatically going to happen. What this does is remove friction. So friction, we want to remove friction or make it easier to save. And so you don't have to think, oh yeah, I've got to transfer that money over to my high yield savings account, or I have to send money to my mutual fund. You don't want to do that. It just adds friction or makes it just a little bit more difficult, which makes it less likely that it will actually happen. So automate those transactions so that you save and pay your future self first, before you do anything else. It's the opposite for spending. We want to add friction and make it just a little bit more difficult. This is one of the reasons that I don't use Apple Pay. It's just too easy. I don't want spending money to be that easy. I don't want it to be able to click through with my phone. With that in mind of adding friction, number 5 is have a 24-hour rule. And here I'm referring to unplanned online purchases. 24-hour rule is intuitive, but it means you can put something in your basket, your online basket, but then wait at least 24 hours before you purchase it and see if it's still how you want to spend your money. Yeah, 24-hour rule, it's a good one. Number 6 is have an emergency fund. On this, I would encourage you to start small. Start with seeing if you can come up with $1,000 that you put away, pretend it's not there, and leave it alone. High yield savings account is where we keep our emergency fund. We all know that $1,000 is not enough of an emergency fund, but it's a starting place. So once you get to $5,000, you can begin to take care of things like automotive repairs that were unplanned or household repairs that come up. And that is really the heart behind an emergency fund, is to keep you from having to put anything on a credit card. It takes care of an emergency and keeps it from getting you in any kind of debt. When you get to like a $10,000 emergency fund, you can really begin to absorb some bumps in your life, some financial bumps. Murphy's Law would tell us that the big car repair will happen about the same time that the water heater goes out and your furnace has died. These things just all happen together, and it often happens like that. A $10,000 emergency fund can really shield you from a lot of those unplanned uh-ohs. Building up to a 3-month emergency fund really puts you in a position to be able to even deal with, say, financial bumps from a job loss. Then you have a 3-month cushion to give you a chance to find your next job. With a 6-month emergency fund, you can really begin to soften the bump from things like a job loss or a health crisis. Number 7 is have goals that you're working on. For Charlie and I, having a carrot that we're chasing is super helpful. Our goals have changed over time. In our early years of being married, our goals were around paying off graduate school debt for my husband. And then our goals went to saving for our first house. After that, it was vacations for a while and saving for our kids' college. We saved for a house remodel that we did on this house when we built on a master suite to this house. And at this point, our goals are mostly around retirement and financial independence as soon as possible. And we're very close to that. We're also in the middle of paying off the last bit of our house. So think through what your financial goals are, and that can really help you stay motivated when you're tempted to spend money. Think about that next goal that you're working on to help you stay on track and on your budget. Number 8 is plan your large purchases. From household remodels to cars, think through those large purchases or large expenses that you have coming and save for them ahead of time. We even handle like car repairs and household repairs in this way. We save for them every month so that when we have a large car repair, we already have money saved in that car repair slot. And if it's bigger than that, then we would need to dip into our emergency fund. But we try to avoid dipping into our emergency fund except for when it's absolutely necessary. I'll share that Charlie and I are both have 10-year-old cars. And so we are in the middle right now of saving for our next car purchase. Number 9 is avoid a car payment. I would highly encourage you to pay outright for your cars. car payment is just such a hindrance in terms of building wealth. And so choose the car that you can pay for outright. If you're going to insist on having a car loan, I like the Money Guys 23-8 rule. They say that you should buy the car that you have 20% down for, the loan is no more than 3 years, and your car payment is no more than 8% of your gross pay. So in other words, it's a car that you can safely pay for within 3 years. Again, car payment is such a hindrance to wealth building. You want to keep the payment cycle as brief as possible and make that car yours sooner rather than later. Number 10 is have a budget line item for subscriptions and keep track. These subscriptions can just get out of control and drain hundreds of dollars of your hard-earned money every month. And so track your subscriptions, look at each of the line items with your subscriptions and think through, is this really how I want to be spending money? Is this subscription really serving me? This is the reason that we only have one streaming service at a time. Right now we're streaming Netflix. We don't have magazines that we subscribe to. We've subscribed to the New York Times in the past. We've subscribed to The Economist in the past. And what we found with both newspapers and The Economist is that we couldn't keep up with the content. We just didn't have the time to read and get the value out of those, and so we canceled the subscriptions. So as you're thinking through subscriptions, when Charlie and I are talking about any sort of budget line item, we don't really talk about it in terms of a month. We do in terms of our, boots on the ground budgeting, but when we're talking about it on the level of this how we want to be spending, we think about it in an annual amount. Do I want to spend, $500 over the next year paying for X? It's a clarifying thing to work with the annual term. It just helps us, I think, make better financial decisions. One of our subscriptions right now that is on the chopping block is our gym membership. Charlie and I are both seeing a trainer at this point, and so we are questioning the value of keeping our gym membership. Even though we've enjoyed having it, it feels a little silly when we're already paying for a trainer. Number 11 is meal plan and shop with a list. This goes without saying, but meal planning and shopping from a list really does help you save money. It does a couple of things. It helps you make sure that when you go to the grocery store, you're going to come home with the things that you need for breakfast, lunch, and dinners. It also helps you keep from buying junk. On that note, never shop hungry. I always have a snack before I grocery shop. I just make better decisions at the grocery store if I'm not hungry. Number 12 is limit how much you eat out. I think you already know this. It's just cheaper to shop from the grocery and eat at home. Number 13 is invite people over and have dinners at home instead of in restaurants. This is a really fun and relaxed way to get together with the people that you care about. You can even ask your friends to bring a dish to share. I'll often ask guests to bring either dessert or a salad to share. Remember that it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be a simple dinner of pasta or burgers on the grill. It's just sharing a meal around the table with people that you care about. Thank you so much for sticking around and supporting my channel. If you found value with this video, please give it a thumbs up. It helps other people find our content. If you're interested in saving money on food, I made this video about 17 ways I save money on my grocery bill.